And welcome back, Mythers. This is part 73, bringing you Bad Mofos versus Civil Order. This is the Myth World Cup 1999, Game 2 of their initial match. These two teams are facing off in the top bracket. At the time, there are 8 teams in the top bracket. So one of these teams will be going to the bottom bracket after this match today, and BMF has taken an early lead in the match. Currently they lead 22 points to 2. They were able to pressure the flanks very hard, get into Civil's backfield, get on the battlements of the keep defense areas around the home flags of the teams, and from there they were able to secure Civil's home flag. Across the amount of percentage remaining that they had on top of a full captured flag, it netted them 22 points. Civil able to score 2 points themselves through a single contest of less than 50% ratio of units. So with a 20-point lead, I mean, the match right now is in BMF's favor. They might choose to switch it up here. They might go for the same strategy again, see if it works, and go for full points here, as CTF victories netting teams a huge amount of points. Seems like the way to go is be cautious and careful. But those flanks just caught Civil off guard, and their mid was out of position to help their home flag. Also running into some trouble itself in the mid. But good play by all the players here, especially for the time being. I mean, the team play is on point. The teams are constantly chatting and communicating strategies and thoughts and pointers between each other. And as the game begins here, we're going to introduce the players. For Civil Order, in the yellow, we have Guttermouth. In the green is Stinger. Runer is the brown on brown, in control of those goals right there. El Destructo has the darker blue color, while Ananab Tilps is sporting a lighter blue color. And in the red and brown is Fod. And last but not least, Visigoth in the brown and white. And for BMF, we have Sid the Great in the brown, maroon with blue, as well as Bullseye for BMF in the pink and blue. Those two BMF players currently scouting out the middle of the field. BMF opting for a very defensive strategy here. They know they have a lead, and they might as well try to invite Civil Order to try to contest this flag, hoping to trade off some BC points in the process. Knock Civil underneath 100%. Notable to point out the teams here, none of the teams are using pus. Both teams at 100%. That also keeps both teams' current score in Game 2 at 10 points apiece. Bullseye is going to start taking some arrows to his goal there. Should maneuver away. Looks like he will move on to continue scouting. And introducing the remainder of the BMF players, who are all on defense. We have Scorpio in the east, along with Hunted HDK. They're controlling the east battlement for BMF. And Mr. in the purple, as well as My Modem is a BMF in the black. Papa Scrub sporting the blue on blue captain's colors. And at the moment, we just have teams sizing each other up. looking to get early advantages here and there in their opponent's strategy. And I think while Civil realizes, meanwhile, Bullseye is going to net 2 points for BMF. They're going to take the lead. It's 12 points to 2 in Game 2. Putting the match at 34 and 12 total in favor of BMF. Now Destructo, FOD, and Visigoth moving around the eastern part of the map. We have a line drawn. Papa Scrub's thinking about pushing with some of his units to go for an attempt on the Civil home flag, which is only defended by a mere 8 thrall. But I think Civil realizes they need to push here and at least get some points contesting, potentially overcome the odds against them to fully capture their opponent's flag, and at the very least pressure and pin their opponent's forces so they can't leak into their backfield. Currently, only Bullseye's goal is in that backfield of Civil Order, and Bullseye's other goal up here in the northeast is going to go down to some archer fire. El Destructo taking the kill and BMF dropping below 100%. Bullseye's aware that if BMF does send troops to go out, Civil has the area well scouted and likely won't let such an opportunity go so easy. Looks like Sid was moving up, but he's gonna notice Ananab Tilps' dwarf here, blocking the pathway from being able to proceed. And it looks like Sid the Great is going to continue to the Civil flag here. And the Civil Stygian Knight will be taken out by one of Papa Scrub's dwarf. It looks like he only has one. But he's in control of all of the flag melee as well. That's gonna slip right by Civil there. FOD's noticing it on his team's behalf. Both teams tied up here at 98%. That Stygian unable to get into contest range. BMF leading the game 11 points to 2. And it looks like Ananab Tilps will make the adjustment to cover Sid the Great's tracks and keep him shadowed. Papa Scrub calling for Sid to return home. And only Stinger's archers are coming into the area. His archers alone would easily be overwhelmed by this melee force, but with the support of Visigoth's melee, as well as El Destructo's archers, they shouldn't be able to be taken out. It looks like FOD is considering pushing this north area of the map, but there's still 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the game. So there's plenty of time for teams to mount an assault. Looks like Civil losing 2% somewhere. Looks like Guttermouth loses a bowman to a fire arrow. And Mr. has taken no damage in the process. Now, it's notable to take into account there's a lot of respect back in the day between the way the Myth World Cup matches were played, in that these two teams not only were respected by other teams in the tournament, but they thought very highly of each other as well. And their matchup early on in the tournament is interesting to kind of create a storyline on its own, as perhaps you'll see later on, or perhaps already know or have an idea of where the Myth World Cup 1999 games lead. But the teams are using their time right now to just adjust their troops, make small adjustments here or there. It looks like Civil will attempt to push the BMF defense here, but BMF literally have 6 dwarves all in high ground. The fortress is fairly impenetrable, and no real way to do it without taking some losses. Dwarves do have a tendency to dud with their bottles, but 2 dwarves firing on the same targets can usually solve those odds in a very productive favor for the dwarven user. And looks like BMF going for more contesting here. I don't believe 3 goals, which would be 6 unit trading points, is enough to push any ratio boundaries here, as they still have under 50% total in comparison to the units. Civil having 1 point extra, a 13 combined between the Stygian warrior and 8 thrall. And if you've been paying any attention to these matches, it's a reoccurring theme here where the scoring system of the tournament dictates the play and the decision of the participants. BMF now sending a Stygian Knight on offense. That will be enough to contest this Civil home flag for some more points, unless they choose to send their scout goals home. And we got 4:30 to go, folks. BMF goals making a move to add 3 more points at the very least to their team's overall score here. Quite the difference between the win-loss-tie system that has been used as of late. And it looks like Ananeptop's gonna attempt to clear some of these satchels away, creating a better opportunity to contest that flag. We'll just have to see what he's able to do there, as it looks like that dwarf bottle practically bounces off of him. And he's about 1 or 2 arrows away from losing his dwarf. It will go down right there. Able to clear away some of the satchels, but there's still plenty of terrain in range of debris. And it looks like Guttermouth and Stinger have pushed up here in the northwest. I completely missed it. El Destructo moved in from the corner over there, launching some fire arrows up as well. And Modem and Mister just completely pushed back here. Modem doing what he can to work the dwarves. But the trees are effectively blocking his dwarf tosses. And BMF's flag will become contested for 2 points to civil, nullifying that original contest, but they are currently down over 20%. Enenab Tilps taking some major losses here, along with Fod's archers. And this is going to allow BMF to focus on this northern civil force and contain it, as the 2 other prongs of the 3-prong push unable to effectively push. Notably, the archer support was in the northwest.
Flag contested.
BMF microing away here. Ruiner has his units on guard. They're gonna come off. He's in control, aware of the situation. Meanwhile, his goal is gonna go down over here to Visigoth's dwarf. It's just trying to do work to clear up some of these BMF forces. I mean, this is a desperation push by Civil here. They need to take the flag. I don't think they will risk losing their flag, but the attempt has to go down, and Visigoth losing control of his melee there. Unfortunately, his dwarf will go down, and his melee unable to overcome the large amount of melee here alone. Runer's dwarf is now coming up from the rear, but the amount of civil units present in the attack have most definitely dwindled. They have 20% remaining, and with that dwarf shot going down, it'll lower them to 13%. BMF comfortably at 86% in control of their flag. Civil able to hold on to a point here potentially, unless they lose a unit. We'll have to see how Enenab Tilps micros it here. He continues to focus on the Stygian. However, that Stygian of his own will go down. Civil drops below 10% there, losing that point. They're able to gain some contest points here by mounting that assault in the end. However, they do not have any points remaining for percentages remaining. It's scored by increments of 10%, would score a point, and BMF in that fashion score 8 points. Civil just falling below that mark. BMF taking game 2 here and control of the match, really. Civil would have to perform fairly flawlessly on the final 2 maps. Dark Canyon's captures up next and played twice. But BMF would also have to open the opportunity to lose their grip and make mistakes. We'll jump into the statistics here. Looking at the official scoring on the website, BMF scores 16 points here. 8 of those are from the percentage remaining. The other 8 are from contesting Civil's home flag. I believe they crossed the 75% to 99% threshold in ratio percentage units scoring system. which was used for the CTF games, as well as BC and Lamothe. Meanwhile, Civil scoring 5 points in their assault. It's going to bring the score of the match currently to 38 points. BMF to Civil's 7 points. As stated, BMF in a commanding lead. Let's go through the stats of the game. 51 kills, 11 losses. Fairly impressive ratios for BMF here, albeit Civil was pushing against their 6 dwarf high ground defense. With a large clump of melee just sitting right on the home flag and unable to penetrate it, taking too many losses on their way in to attack the flag. And for individual statistics, actually damage wise, look at this too, ladies and gentlemen. We got 363 damage for BMF. Civil Order only managing 86 damage, unfortunately, here. And BMF able to win the BC fight easily, just by the way the nature of the game was played out. Statistics perhaps not that impressive when it comes to this game and what Civil attempted to do, albeit it was risky. And some may view it as foolish. They did have the cojones to try to pull it off, falling short, leading the tribe of forces in victory against them. Papa Scrub of BMF, 8-3, 42 damage. Mister coming up big with his archers here. 10 kills, 1 loss, 103 damage. Each of his archers sharing a part of the work there, and leading the game in damage overall, effectively out-damaging the entire Civil team. In combination of all their players' damage, in comparison to the damage he was able to put out with these archers alone. Bullseye going in with the contests and the utility units. He's a great supporting player for BMF, and this game his internet did not drop, his myth did not crash, he was able to play through. We got his statistics at 9-1 with 60 damage. Hunted HDK getting competitive with him there, 9 kills himself, 0 losses, but 2 less damage than Bullseye at 58. My modem is a BMF going 8-for-1 with 18 damage. Scorpio 6-2 with 71 damage. And last but not least for BMF, Sid the Great 1-3 with 10 damage respectively. Moving on to Civil Order, losing a large number of their units in the process. They'll take 52 losses as they score 5 points from this game. They manage 86 damage. There's a large difference between their damage and their opponent's damage, as well as kills, as you can see in the post-game graphs. Unfortunate for them. But moving on to their individual statistics, 8-52, as noted. Ouch, that's just jumping out to me. Crazy stuff right there, how BMF just took control of that game. By the way, Civil chose to approach it, locking it down though. Effectively ruining all of Civil's ratios here, but hey, numbers aren't much. We're going to recollect on them just for a second here. Ruiner, captain for Civil, going 2-3 with 12 damage. El Destructo leading his team in damage. If you'll remember, his archers pushed up this corner here and using flame arrows to distract the BMF forces while Civil pushed into their backfield. Taking place over here, if you turned off the detailed textures, which completely changed the terrain of the map. Although it doesn't actually change the game. You can actually see where the fire arrows went down to help support the civil push. In the end, not enough, but it is enough to net El Destructo the most damage for his team. 32 damage, he goes 2 and 6. Next up, Stinger, 2 and 6 and 14 damage with his archers. Ananab Tilps going 2 for 10. 10 damage respectively. Unfortunately, losing that last unit lost in the game's entirety, unless potentially that goal died afterwards, but enough to drop another point from Civil's total score. Unfortunate, but you know, he was just trying to do his best under the circumstances. And next up is Guttermouth. I believe he was also pushing with his archers. He's going to take 4 losses, unable to kill anything, and 14 damage. Visigoth taking a large amount of losses, 15. It's going to go 0 and 15. He only nets 3 damage. He had a dwarf and a large amount of melee. A large amount of civils units were lost during his push. Maybe they could have split up the units a little bit better, but they all had assigned roles and were doing what they felt was best. So, you know, it is what it is, and 0 and 15 ain't nothing. So, last but not least is Fod, going 0 and 8 and netting 0 damage. He attempted to push from the northeast, was effectively blocked by BMF, and that is just the situation. That 20-point lead invoked by BMF caused Civil. You know, their approach in the match was to strike back and try to net as many points as possible, but in the end, definitely coming at the cost of a 11-point loss, making the net loss somewhere around 31, I believe. Net differential in points between these teams. So BMF commanding lead here. We'll be going into Dark Canyon Game 3 next. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all out there who support the game, the teams, the channel, and you know, it's crazy to be able to go back and look at these two great teams, well renowned for their time, playing with such respect for each other and playing comfortably with the players they want to play with and the players they would often play with every night on Bungie.net. Quite a different spiel than the way things are these days, but on that note, this day has to get going, and so does this cast. So thank you all one last time for watching and viewing. Hope you enjoyed the cast and the match so far. Game 3, Dark Canyon captures. Will Civil Order strike back efficiently and make the game a well-contested one? We'll find out next. Stay tuned, folks, and good game.